As a music historian, I would hazard to guess that most goodbye songs in American popular music sound either triumphant or tragic. In the case of breakup songs, NSYNC's Bye 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 contains more than an undertone of spite, as does Kelly Clarkson's Stronger, What Doesn't Kill You. But in 1995, an industry newcomer named Ty Herndon released his first single, What Mattered Most, and hit #1 on the country charts. That song is one of my favorite 1990s country songs among many great choices. Sorry, it's just privacy. Whatever. For its detail-oriented storytelling. For years, I assumed this song was only about a breakup. It wears its devastation on its metaphorical sleeve through a catalog of details about an ex. Her eyes are blue, her hair was long, concluding with, but I paid no attention to what mattered most, which I assumed meant her happiness. Of all the people I've been in relationships with, gone on dates with, and or slept with, Todd was easily the one I've come closest to loving, and the one I've been angriest at. Music brought us together, and it remains long after our split. In 2015, on my 27th birthday, I went to a barbecue of a friend with the same birthday and met a skinny guy in his 40s who was passionately talking about who would compete with composers like Cole Porter and George Gershwin in a modern day version of the Great American Songbook. # my kind of conversation. He mentioned Carole King, and I quickly interjected that her 1971 masterpiece, Tapestry, is one of my favorite albums of all time. Thank you. Appreciate the affirmation. His eyes lit up looking at me, and shortly thereafter, he asked our mutual friend for our number. For my number. Last, no. I had just come out of my first relationship, which lasted 2 months. I had rushed way too quickly into things after a 15-month severe manic episode. Suffice it to say, when I met Todd, I was still antsy. We talked on the phone and soon after went out on a date to a Mexican restaurant, though because I have trouble reading nonverbal signals as autistic, # literal problems, I was afraid to ask if he meant it as a date. I didn't want to ruin anything. He soon treated me to an extra ticket to a Jackson Browne concert at Ravinia in the north suburbs. And after we got back to the city, we kissed for the first time outside a train station. Shortly after, he invited me over to his apartment for dinner. I really liked being with him. We ended up sleeping together, and when we were done that night, I quickly left because of other commitments. We did this a few more times. We met together at a dessert place in Rogers Park. At the end of the date, he kissed me and we said goodbye. And then I traveled for my 5-year college reunion, during which I texted him once and never heard back. I didn't know what was going on, but within a week of my occasional texts, I saw that Todd had blocked me on Facebook. I had no idea what I had done, if anything, for him to ghost me. I had my guesses, but ultimately I was clueless and devastated and enraged. Much like I had trouble reading his intentions in dating, I had no way of knowing if he was angry at me. I just wanted to talk to him. My frustration with him subsided somewhat over the following few months. But in April 2016, I got a friend request on Facebook. It was Todd. I messaged him cautiously. "Can I say hi?" "Of course you can," he replied. We got back to talking, and within a few weeks, he suggested we meet up for coffee. I was willing, but I said I might have to set some boundaries. He said that was fine. For the record, I was planning to say how we could never, ever, ever get back together ever again after this. Cue Taylor Swift, 2012. I don't know what number of track that is on Red, but anyway. But a week after we talked, I saw a few posts on Facebook tagging Todd. saying that he had died. I quickly contacted the mutual friend whose barbecue we met at, and she was profusely apologetic that I had to find out on Facebook. She told me that she had been drinking with him the night he died, and he had said how happy he was that he and I were back in touch. The next morning, Todd was found dead at home of a massive heart attack. Much like his father had died when he was a kid, he was 44 years old. I didn't go to his memorial service. I was afraid of what he might have told other people about me and our relationship that he hadn't told me. Instead, I went to a sing-along the same day at the Old Town School of Folk Music to help people grieving from the massacre at Pulse, the LGBTQ nightclub in Florida. I needed that catharsis, and a friend and I sang along loudly to songs like "We Shall Overcome" and "We Shall Not Be Moved." Todd hadn't died in a mass shooting, but I couldn't not think of him as I was doing my best to honor the dead and the kind of music that meant so much to him and me. At the end of that year, I ran into our friend who introduced us. I hadn't seen her since before Todd died. I found out that he had ghosted me because he was angry at me for leaving right after sex instead of staying the night. He thought that sex was all I cared about. Apparently, he and our friend had a fight about me and the significance of my neurodivergence. She said that all he saw in me was a really smart guy, as if he didn't know what to make of me as an actual human. 2 years later, I got to a point in an addiction recovery program where I was ready to make amends to those I'd harmed. As I couldn't talk to Todd, I met with that mutual friend to do what's called surrogate amends. In that conversation, I acknowledged how, among other things, I had used Todd for sex. And then she revealed that he had massively lied to me. He was HIV positive. What? He had told me that he was free of STDs, and though everything we did was safe in theory, and it was unlikely that I had HIV without knowing it for 3 years, I was still astonished at how much and how blatantly he had lied to me. I said that if he had ghosted me after lying and giving me HIV, I don't know if I would have been able to forgive him for that. In my form of recovery, we say we make amends for our own sake. So in theory, the other person's actions don't matter. We concentrate on our part in our anger and resentment. Still, that was a bitter pill to swallow. I would never blame him for his sexual history or anything like that, but lying about it, not gonna lie, that stung like hell. But our friend also told me that another partner had ghosted him before his death. So that contributed to him feeling sorry for how he treated me. Hearing that made it easier for me to forgive his ghosting. The year before I met Todd, nearly 2 decades after the success of that song, What Mattered Most, that country artist, Ty Herndon, came out as gay. And a few years later, he sang his truth in an alternative version of that song. His eyes are blue, his hair was long. In '64, he was born in Baton Rouge, etc. In 2025, he released a new version of the song with the original pronouns, duetting with Leanne Rimes, where they sing at the end, she mattered most, not her happiness. It made me realize that that song could be about a death, though a suicide. When Todd ghosted me, I worried that I had paid no attention to what mattered most, his happiness. But of course, with me being hyper-literal as autistic, there was no way for me to know what he was feeling because he verbalized nothing. At the same time, we were on good terms when he died, which I'm very grateful for. I hope he died knowing that I cared about him, that I did pay attention to what mattered most, however poorly I expressed it. Today, I think of him when I hear Carole King, Paul Simon, Van Morrison, or other music we loved and shared. as well as music that he couldn't stand, like Starships We Built This City, supposedly emblematic of 1980s cheese. I see his eyes rolling and his exasperated, groaning expression when I hear it. Music brought us together, and it remains long after our split. I just wish he were still here with it. He mattered most. Thank you.